Welcome to Robro Sports Facts. Every episode is packed with information put together by one of our newest podcasters on the scene, Rowan, aka Robro. Tune in weekly for a special guest where Robro asks specific questions about their career in addition to opinions of great sports events. Also, look out for the Player of the Week that comes from the LJ8 Sports YouTube channel for card pack openings. Thank you for tuning in.
Hey, Rowan.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. Nice to see you on my first episode of Robo Sports Facts.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This is awesome. I'm very excited for you.
I'm very excited to start my second thing up. I already have my YouTube channel up.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm hoping this will be 15 to 20 minutes.
Perfect. So it is. You said you're getting Adam G on your podcast?
Yeah, I'm getting Adam G on, and I'm also getting Slice on, and I'm also getting a couple other dudes on.
Nice. A couple other counselors also?
Yeah, I'm getting Pones on also.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I have Pones, and I have Ben Curtis on. Those are all the yeses so far.
Yeah, Ben Curtis.
This is going to be a good podcast, I know.
I'm very excited and happy for you, and I wish you all the best in the podcast.
Yeah, this is a nice starting point. First, I wanted to explain your job, since you're an umpire.
So you want me to explain my job as an umpire?
And the stuff that you have to do during every baseball game.
All right, my job as a baseball umpire is to enforce the rules that are in the rule book for baseball, and I'm also responsible for maintaining and upholding the integrity of the game.
Next, let's move on to what league do you umpire?
So right now, I umpire high school varsity, high school JV. I do American Legion. I do Babe Ruth. I do travel ball, which is AAU, and I also do some collegiate leagues in the summer. So I have a lot of leagues that I umpire for. I'm on a board, so we provide our umpiring services to lots of schools and lots of summer and fall leagues. So we are very busy year round, except for the winter.
How did you become an umpire?
So I first started umpiring when I was 11 years old. The local Little League in my town, I live in Simsbury, Connecticut. So Simsbury Little League, my local Little League program, has an umpire program in which kids can begin umpiring games at the age of 11. So I started umpiring when I was 11. And the main thing that I really wanted to get out of umpiring at that time when I was 11 was that it was a way for me to still be involved in the game. I was playing Little League at the time, but I also wanted to explore umpiring. Umpiring, as the years went by, umpiring grew into this passion of mine, and my goal is to become a professional. And if I didn't begin umpiring at the age of 11, I don't know what I would be doing right now. So I'm very grateful that I took a step and began umpiring, and it's something that has turned into a love of mine.
Next, let's move on to what you consider as the strike zone and when you would call balls. So
the strike zone for me is from the knees to the letters of the batter's uniform. Some umpires are very pitcher friendly, and other umpires are very hitter friendly. For example, some umpires like to call the outside strike more than the inside. Some like to call the inside strike more than the outside. Some umpires like to call the low strike more than the high strike. And finally, some umpires like to call the high strike compared to the low strike. So each umpire has a preference of what he or she likes to call, but my strike zone is from the knees to the letters. That's my strike zone.
Now let's move on to who do you think will win the World Series?
That's a great question, Rowan. Baseball's been exciting, hasn't it, for the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, there's been super good teams that have been worse than they should have been. Teams have been better than they should have been.
I think the matchup is going to be the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series. I think both teams have a lot of star power. With the Dodgers, they have Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Max Muncy, Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler. On the Yankees, they have Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres, Gio Urshela, Masahiro Tanaka, Garrett Cole. I mean, those two teams would be a ton of fun watching in the World Series. But if I had to pick from those two teams, I would have to go with the Yankees.
Now let's move on to who you think will win the Super Bowl.
That's another great question. I'm gonna have to go with the New Orleans Saints, and they are a very good, experienced team led by Drew Brees at the quarterback position. They have a great, lethal offense in Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. I think they're going to play the Chiefs. The Chiefs just signed Patrick Mahomes to this mega monster deal worth over $500 million. I think he's the best player in football. And I think that with the offense that he has and the explosiveness that Mahomes has, I think he's going to lead the Chiefs to their second straight Super Bowl, but I have them falling to the Saints at the biggest stage.
Now we're going to move on to the career of Rod Woodson and where he came to after he's played. Yeah, but first I'd like to thank Pro Football Reference, Sports Reference, and Fandom. So for Rod Woodson, he played defensive back. He started out as a defensive back in college, moved to cornerback, and then went to safety. He is 6 foot, 183 centimeters, 1965 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he's 55 years old. He played from Purdue in 83, 84, 85, and in 86 and 84 he played in the Peach Bowl. He was drafted the first round in 1987 with the 10th pick. Do you think the 10th pick was the right spot for him to be picked, and was the Steelers the right team for him to be picked on by in the NFL draft?
And Rowan, he played for the Steelers for 10 years, and he was with the 49ers for 1 year, and he finished out his career with the Ravens from 1998 to 2001. So he spent a lot of time playing football.
He has multiple Pro Bowls and first team All Pros. He got in the Pro Bowl at least half of the time. He was a first team All Pro, so it was all well spent. But before we move on to his career awards, we're gonna go over his stats first. We have him with 71 interceptions, 13.5 sacks, so this pretty good for a defensive back, because a defensive back isn't built to sack anybody. 20 forced fumbles and 20 total fumbles. He had for interceptions for a touchdown. He had 20 of them. So his job now, he has done NFL Total Access and Thursday Night Football. He also worked for the Big Ten Network. In 2011, Woodson was the Raiders cornerback coach. He did college analysis for Westwood One. He did the NFL in 2013. For anybody who has his jobs after the NFL, He played in 87 and 88, but his first regular year was 89. He went to the Pro Bowl and first team All-Pro, which I would think that would be a top tier. That's pretty good for being in your third year in the NFL and only like having a couple of 16-game seasons under your belt, which I would think having more Pro Bowls than any other stat. Do you think the Pro Bowl is a good thing for a player to be recognized for?
Absolutely. As you just read, Rowan, Woodson has a lot of incredible accolades and achievements during his career. And when you play in the Pro Bowl, it's a big honor. You are the best of the best in that season and at your position. So it's an incredible honor to represent your team in Hawaii for the Pro Bowl. So that's a very big honor for any football player.
Yeah. Let's say in 89 and 90 he also got first team All-Pro. He got the Pro Bowl. He only was nominated for the Pro Bowl in 91, but in 92 he had the Pro Bowl and first team All-Pro. This is pretty much his biggest season besides him being on the Ravens and going to Super Bowl XXXV, also known as 35. He had Pro Bowl, first team All-Pro, and AP Defensive Player of the Year. Do you think he should have been awarded more AP Defensive Player of the Year awards?
Well, everyone has their own opinion, and certainly the people that vote for the awards, some of them have the same opinions. Some differ in opinion. So I think it's open for interpretation, and I think it depends on the individual person. I think he should have gotten some more awards, but Rowan, I think that Woodson has accumulated a lot of impressive accolades and during a very impressive and successful NFL career.
Now let's get back in anyone Pro Bowl and first team All-Pro in 49 or in 1995. He didn't win anything. In 96 he got in the Pro Bowl. But in 1997, the 49ers picked Woodson up at a bad time in his career, with him not winning any awards or being in a Pro Bowl game.
Well, Woodson was with the 49ers for 1 year. A lot of players are not going to, perform at a consistent level of play each year. Unfortunately for the 49ers, it didn't really work out with Woodson, but after he was with the 49ers, he went to the Ravens and accumulated 3 Pro Bowls and 1 Super Bowl 35 with the Ravens. So he had a very good career with the Steelers and the Ravens. That 1 year with the 49ers, he didn't win anything. But I don't think it should be. I don't think that year should ruin his storied career.
Yeah, he made it. He also in 98, the first year with the Ravens, 97 and 98 with 2 downers. He made it to the Pro Bowl in 99 and 2000. In 2001, he made it to the Pro Bowl, but he probably didn't play in it because he was in the Super Bowl 35. The Ravens won 34-7 over the Giants at Raymond James Stadium in Florida. It was him being in the Super Bowl or him getting AP Defensive Player of the Year a bigger feat for him, in your opinion, because the Super Bowl is a big thing?
I would say the Super Bowl is the biggest achievement, because you are the world champions, and athletes dream of making it to the pros in whatever sport that they want to reach the pros and winning, whether that's a Stanley Cup or a World Series or an NBA Finals or a Super Bowl. I think that winning the Super Bowl is the pinnacle of football achievements / accomplishments. So I'd have to go with the Super Bowl.
Yeah. He left the Ravens after that year, and then he was a Pro Bowl and first team All-Pro. Ended up his career in 2003 with him winning nothing. He was a good cornerback to start off his career, and when he moved to the Ravens, he became a free safety, which is the reason I picked him to be the player, I choose, because I'm picking players that have either played for the Ravens or the Orioles for this podcast to talk about. And so that's everything about him as of now. to be a top player and get only one Super Bowl isn't the best for him, but if he had the defense on his back, he had defensive players, he had the offense of being one defensive player of the year and one Super Bowl win, which is pretty cool to say the least. The Peach Bowl and being going to the Peach Bowl in '84 and AP Defensive Player of the Year in '93 and the 2001 Super Bowl in Tampa, Florida. Those were the three biggest things ever for him to accomplish in his collegiate and football career, which the Steelers were his main hub. But going over to the Ravens, he had to play his former team, and that must have been a hard thing to do. What do you think it was harder? Do you think him playing for the Ravens was knowing they were a rival would have been more fun for him, knowing that he had to play the Steelers a couple of times after he played on them, and he now became a free safety with the Ravens?
Well, it's definitely weird to play against your former team, especially if they're a rival. So, for example, if you used to play for the Yankees, when you're on the Yankees, you would play the Red Sox. But later on in your career, if you were on the Red Sox, you would be playing the Yankees a lot. So it definitely feels. There's definitely a feeling of oddity and weirdness being the visitor in the different clubhouses.
Speaking of the Yankees and Red Sox, today's fact comes from OnThisDay.com. Today in sports history, Babe Ruth hit his 500th career home run in the year of 1929. What do you think about commemorating Babe Ruth's 500th home run every August 11th?
Well, Babe Ruth is one of the greatest baseball players ever that has ever stepped foot on a baseball diamond. So I think it's important that baseball recognizes Babe Ruth's accomplishments, and 714 home runs. That's pretty impressive. That's third all time on the home run list. So I think any time when you honor a baseball legend and their contributions to the game of baseball and their achievements, I think is very nice and a kind gesture.
Yeah, and then finally, I'd like to. Today I'm gonna be giving a birthday shout out. Today, it is for Chris Hemsworth, the actor.
Happy birthday, Chris!
Yeah, this is all for today's episode. See you next time.
Thank you for having me, Rowan. This was a lot of fun.
Talk to you again later.
All right, Rowan. Thank you so much, and best of luck with the podcast going forward.
Bye.
Bye, Rowan.
Robro Sports Facts would like to thank those who helped create the podcast and those that help put it on every week. Thank you to editor Shari, sound engineer John, executive producer Hannah, special guest Jake Ostern, and information about Rod Woodson from ProFootballReferences.com, SportsReferences.com, and AmericanFootballDatabase.fandom.com. We thank you for listening to the podcast.